The silent war. The stars were quiet, too quiet. For 3,000 years, no one had heard the name of humanity spoken without a laugh. The galaxy believed they were gone, wiped out in wars long before the current empires even rose to power. Their ruins had turned to dust, their fleets to rust, their voices to silence. But silence has a way of hiding things. In the frozen outskirts of the Cleon sector, a mining vessel drifted through dead space. Its scanners picked up an unusual echo, a yight, repeating signal, faint and broken, buried under centuries of static. The miners ignored it at first, thinking it was old debris, just another relic of the past. But the signal grew stronger. When they filtered the noise, one word remained: human. The captain of the mining vessel froze. Everyone knew the stories. Humans had been warriors, reckless and savage, burning across the stars like wildfire. They fought until the galaxy turned on them and buried them under countless fleets. No one survived, or so the Council taught. But here it was, a human signal. The miners carried the data to the Galactic Council, the chamber filled with whispers, arguments, and nervous laughter. "Impossible," said one delegate, his scales glittering under the lights. "Humans were erased. They are extinct." "Extinct?" another voice snapped. "Then explain this signal." Some mocked it. Others trembled. In the end, the Council ordered silence. "Do not speak of this again. Whatever it is, it will fade." But it did not fade. Across the galaxy, hidden relays began to stir. Dust-covered machines, long forgotten, clicked alive one by one. Their transmissions carried the same message, encrypted: war codes, coordinates, and the ancient insignia of humanity's fleets. The galaxy had forgotten humans, but humans had not forgotten the galaxy. Far beyond the border worlds, in a region of dead stars, a ship drifted in darkness. It looked broken, its hull scarred, its engines cold. For centuries it had remained still, waiting, watching. Inside its metal heart, thousands of cryopods hummed softly, filled with the last warriors of Earth. A system timer reached 0. One pod hissed open. A man stepped out, his eyes sharp, his body covered in faded marks of war. He looked around, at the shadows of his ship, then to the stars beyond. "It's time," he whispered. Others began to rise, men and women, hardened by a war that the galaxy thought was over. They had been waiting, hiding, biding their time. 3,000 years had passed, but their mission had not changed. They remembered the betrayal. They remembered the Council fleets burning human colonies. They remembered watching their homeworlds fall under fire. Humanity had vanished, not because they were weak, but because they chose to. They went silent, hiding their last warriors, preparing for the day they would return. And now the day had come. The first strike was quiet. In the rim sector, a patrol station picked up unusual readings. Ships appeared on their radar. Old designs, yet fast, precise, deadly. Before the guards could react, the station's defenses were torn apart. Explosions lit the void. The humans said nothing, made no demands. They only left wreckage drifting. In the dark, news spread quickly. Worlds whispered. "It's them. It's the humans." At first, leaders denied it. "Just raiders," they said. "Old pirates with stolen tech." But the attacks grew. Every target was chosen with purpose. Old enemies, old betrayers, old scars. Human fleets struck and vanished, like ghosts from the past. The galaxy had forgotten their faces, but they remembered the war. They called it the Silent War, a war fought with whispers and shadows, with fear more than fire. For the first time in centuries, mighty empires felt small. The Council gathered again. Their voices shook with fear. "If they have returned, we must stop them before it's too late." "Stop them?" another delegate snarled. "We couldn't stop them before. 3,000 years ago it took the entire galaxy to bring them down, and we failed even then. What chance do we have now?" The chamber fell silent. Back aboard the human flagship, the warriors prepared their fleets. Their leader stood before them, his voice cold as steel. "They thought us extinct," he said. They thought time would erase our rage, but time only sharpened it. For every world burned, for every child lost, we will answer. The galaxy will remember the name of humanity. The soldiers pounded their fists to their chests. The ship's engines roared to life, and in the darkness, the human fleet began to move. The silent war had begun. The awakening fleet. For centuries, the galaxy had slept easy, believing humanity gone forever. But in the cold grave of forgotten stars, ships older than empires stirred awake. They had waited patiently. 3,000 years of silence, hidden in the black. Now the sleepers opened their eyes. The flagship Erebus was a monster of steel, scarred by battles no one remembered. Its surface carried the burns of plasma fire, its hull patched with ancient alloys no empire could replicate today. Around it drifted hundreds of ships, dark and silent, like predators waiting in the shadows. Inside the Erebus, cryopods hissed, open one after another. Soldiers gasped as they woke from frozen centuries. Their bodies were pale, their muscles stiff, but their eyes burned with the same fire that once shook the galaxy. The first to awaken was the commander. His name was lost in the old records, but his soldiers called him Captain Arik. He stepped barefoot onto the metal floor, his breath fogging in the cold. Around him, men and women saluted, even as they stumbled from long sleep. "We slept too long," one whispered. "No," Arik said, his voice like stone. His voice, "We slept just enough. The galaxy forgot us. Now we remind them." As the fleet's systems roared back to life, lights flickered across the command decks. Power surged into weapons, engines, and shields that had not burned for millennia. Machines, built by human hands long ago, hummed to life as if they had been waiting for this very hour. One officer read the incoming signals. "Sir, our beacons are online. The galaxy is hearing us again." Arik nodded. "Good. Let them listen. Let them fear." Far away, the Galactic Council received the transmission. The chamber darkened as the hologram flickered. At first, it was only static. Then a face appeared, the face of a human, scarred and stern, framed in shadows. "This is Captain Arik," the voice thundered across every channel, every world. "We are not extinct, we are not forgotten. For 3,000 years we have waited. We watched you grow fat on lies and betrayal. Now the debt must be paid." The signal cut. Silence fell. The chamber exploded in panic. "They're alive." One delegate screamed, "Arm every fleet! Call every ally!" Another shouted. But in their hearts they knew it was already too late. Back aboard the Erebus, the humans gathered in the war room. A glowing star map stretched before them, dotted with red markers. Each marker was a world that once betrayed them, a world that had taken part in humanity's destruction. Arik raised his hand. "These worlds will burn, not for vengeance alone, but for justice. The galaxy must know, humanity is not prey. Humanity is the predator." The soldiers struck their fists to their chests, their voices rising in unison. "For Earth! For the fallen!" The fleet began to move. Engines ignited, spilling light into the void. From the darkness of dead stars, the human armada emerged. They did not march like survivors. They marched like executioners. Scouts from nearby alien sectors spotted them first. Tiny ships rushed back to deliver the warning, but before they could escape, beams of human weapons cut them down. Silence returned. By the time the Council realized where the fleet was headed, it was too late. On the colony of Drixa Prime, alarms screamed through the night. Civilians rushed into bunkers as the sky lit up with fire. Human warships descended, their silhouettes blocking out the stars. The colony's defense fleet scrambled, but their ships were outdated, their soldiers untested. These humans cut through them like blades through cloth. One by one, alien ships exploded, scattering across the sky. The colony commander begged for mercy over open channels. Arik's reply was cold. Mercy died with Earth. Moments later, the colony's shield collapsed. Fire rained from the heavens, across the galaxy. The news spread like wildfire. Drixa Prime has fallen, the whispers said. The humans are real. The humans are back. Every world remembered the old stories, tales told to frighten children. Humans who fought with no fear. Humans who never surrendered. Humans who turned defeat into fire. Now those stories were alive again, and the galaxy trembled. In the quiet aftermath aboard the flagship, Arik looked at the burning world below. His officers stood behind him, waiting for orders. "This is only the beginning," he said softly. "The galaxy will learn to fear us again. And when they kneel, they will understand humanity does not vanish, humanity endures, humanity returns." The fleet spread out, engines glowing. Hundreds of ships vanished into the dark, headed for their next target. The awakening fleet had begun its war. First retaliation. The galaxy was still reeling from the fall of Drixa Prime. The images of burning skies, of human warships blotting out the stars, spread across every channel. People whispered in fear, soldiers trembled, and leaders tried to hide their panic behind false courage. But humanity was not finished. They were only beginning. On the human flagship Erebus, Captain Arik studied the map, his eyes focused on one glowing marker, Krylon Outpost 7, a fortified station built by the same alien species that had once led the fleets against Earth. Records showed they had launched the first strikes on human colonies 3,000 years ago. Arik's voice was calm, but each word carried the weight of centuries. Krylon spilled human blood. Tonight, we spill theirs. The officers nodded. Orders rippled through the fleet. Engines roared to life. Far across the void, Krylon Outpost 7 floated in silence. Its walls were thick with defenses, its hangars filled with fighters, its leaders, confident in their strength. Then the alarms began to scream. Dozens of human ships appeared at once, sliding out of the shadows. They moved in perfect formation, their weapons glowing with deadly light. The outpost commander shouted, "Defenses up! Fighters out! Meet them head on!" Krylon ships surged forward. But they were met with fury. Human cannons tore through armor, as if it were paper. Fighters exploded before they even locked on targets. In minutes, the outpost's outer defense ring was broken. The humans pressed forward, relentless. Inside the command center, Krylon officers shouted over one another. "It can't be them," one screamed. "No fleet fights like this," another roared. The commander slammed his claws onto the table. "It is them. The humans have returned, and they will not stop." He opened a channel to the attackers. His voice shook with desperation. "Humans, wait, there must be peace between us. We offer surrender." The reply came cold and sharp. "There was no peace when you burned our worlds. There will be no peace now." Moments later, a beam of fire sliced through the command center. Krylon Outpost 7 was gone. Across the galaxy, the destruction sent shockwaves. News spread faster than fleets could move. Everyone now knew the truth. Humans had returned not for survival, not for territory, but for vengeance. The council convened again, their chamber filled with panic. They are destroying everything in their path. They don't speak, they don't negotiate, only kill. If we do not unite, we will all fall. For once, the council agreed. Fleets from every empire were ordered to join forces. But even as they prepared, they feared the truth. Unity had not saved them 3,000 years ago. Why would it now, back? On Erebus, the warriors celebrated their victory in silence. There was no cheer, no laughter, only grim nods and sharpened weapons. Arik walked among them. His soldiers were hardened, their faces carved by years of training, even if centuries had passed in sleep. He stopped before them and spoke. Krylon was the first. Many more will follow. But remember this. We are not fighting to erase them. We are fighting to remind them. Humanity does not forget. Humanity does not forgive. The soldiers pounded their fists to their chests. Their voices rang like thunder in the steel halls. For Earth, for the fallen. The galaxy called it the first retaliation. The moment humanity proved beyond doubt. that they were not myths or shadows. They were real, they were strong, and they were angry. Whispers spread through the colonies. The humans choose their targets with purpose. They do not attack the weak at random. They strike those who betrayed them. If your world once raised arms against humanity, you are already dead. Fear became a living thing. Entire planets locked down, hoping to escape the storm. Some species even tried to erase their old records, hiding their crimes, pretending they had never fought against Earth. But the humans remembered. They had carried those names in silence for 3,000 years. As the fleet moved toward their next target, Arik stood alone in his chamber staring at the stars. His reflection looked back at him from the glass, scarred, cold, unbroken. He whispered to himself, "They thought time would bury us, but time only sharpened our blades." Behind him, the fleet drifted like wolves in the dark, their engines glowing red. The retaliation had only begun. Fear across the stars. The fall of Krylon Outpost 7 spread across the galaxy like fire in dry grass. Every colony, every trade hub, every border station carried the same whisper. The humans are back. On the desert world of Vera, merchants locked their markets before dusk. They spoke in hushed tones, eyes darting at every shadow. "They strike without warning," one muttered. "They don't take prisoners," another added. A third, older trader leaned closer and whispered, "If your world ever raised arms against them, your death is already decided." Fear traveled faster than light. In the great halls of the Galactic Council, panic turned to desperation. Delegates argued until their voices cracked. "They are targeting us one by one. They fight like no other fleet. Fast, ruthless, merciless. If we don't act now, we will all fall." The council tried to unite, but unity was fragile. Old rivalries flared. Some species wanted to fight, others wanted to surrender, and a few even considered fleeing the galaxy entirely. At the center of it all stood one truth. Humanity had returned, and no one could predict their next move. Across the stars, fleets scrambled to prepare. Massive warships that had not launched in centuries were dragged out of dry dock. Factories rushed to build weapons. Entire sectors went on high alert. But the fear was not only in soldiers. It lived in the hearts of civilians. On the world of Foros, families abandoned their homes to hide in mountain caverns. On the icy moon of Trelin, priests whispered prayers to gods long forgotten, begging for protection. Everywhere the same question was asked: who will they strike next? The humans did not answer. Their fleets moved like ghosts, appearing where no one expected, striking with perfect precision. One day, a military convoy vanished without a trace. The next, a wealthy trade station burned in silence, its wreckage spinning in orbit. Each time, no demands were made, no negotiations, only ruin. The galaxy began to call it the Silent War. But now, another name spread with it: the War of Fear. Back aboard the human flagship Erebus, Captain Arik studied the star map. Red markers spread across it like blood. His officers stood in silence, waiting for his words. "They are frightened," Arik said, his voice steady. "Good. Let fear do half our work." His second-in-command stepped forward. "They say, entire planets are evacuating before we even arrive. Shall we let them run?" Arik shook his head. "No. They must face us. They must remember us. They must understand that humanity does not disappear. We endure. And now we rule." The soldiers saluted, their eyes hard as steel. On the world of Valen Prime, the Council's intelligence chief addressed a secret meeting. His voice was grim. "The humans are not random. They are striking at old enemies, the ones who betrayed them in the last war. Every move is calculated. They are crossing names off a list that has been waiting for 3,000 years. The room fell silent. The delegates stared at one another with pale faces. Many of their worlds had once joined that war. Many of them knew they were on that list. One whispered, "We thought time would protect us." Another replied, "Time only brought them closer." Meanwhile, deep in space, a lone scout ship picked up a massive energy reading. The crew leaned over the consoles, eyes wide with fear. It's enormous, one stammered. Not a fleet, not a station, something bigger. The image came through, the shadow of a colossal vessel, larger than any ship in living memory. Its shape blocked out the stars. Its engines glowed like a dying sun. The humans had unleashed something new. The crew tried to escape, sending one desperate transmission. "This is Scout 92. Massive human warship detected. Coordinates static." Silence. The ship never reported again. Within hours, rumors spread. "A human supercarrier," the whispers said. "A ship so large it could swallow fleets whole." The council trembled. If the fleets already terrified them, what would this supercarrier mean? Back aboard the Erebus, Arik watched the giant ship glide into formation with his fleet. Its name was carved into its hull in old human letters. Oblivion. His lips curved into the faintest smile. "Now," he murmured, "the galaxy will truly understand fear." The Oblivion lit up the void with its engines, and for the first time in millennia, the galaxy remembered what it meant to tremble before humanity. The truth of extinction. The galaxy had always believed in a simple truth. Humans were gone. Every school taught it. Every record confirmed it. Every story ended the same way. Humanity fought. Humanity burned. Humanity died. But now, as their fleets darkened the stars and their warships tore through empires, the old truth collapsed. Something else had been hiding beneath the silence. Inside the archives of the Galactic Council, a team of historians worked in secret. They pulled apart records sealed for millennia, documents buried under false laws, evidence locked away by leaders who had once sworn never to speak of humans again. The deeper they searched, the more lies they uncovered. One historian, her claws shaking, whispered to her colleagues, "They never went extinct. They erased themselves. They vanished. By choice." The room froze. "They prepared for this," she continued. "The fleets in hiding, the cryosleep pods, the dark stations, they weren't destroyed. They were preserved. Humanity planned their own disappearance." The council was horrified. In a desperate emergency session, the delegates demanded answers. "How can this be possible?" one shouted. 3,000 years of silence, and you tell us it was all a trick?" The head historian stood before them, voice trembling. "Not a trick. A strategy. When the galaxy turned against them, humanity realized they could not win by strength alone. So they chose patience. They buried their warriors in frozen vaults, hid their ships in dead space, and set timers for the future. They did not lose. They prepared. The chamber filled with gasps. "They waited for us to forget," the historian said. And we did. Meanwhile, aboard the human flagship Erebus, Captain Arik watched the galaxy fall into chaos. His officers reported fleets mobilizing, empires collapsing into fear, and worlds begging for protection. Arik's lips curled into a cold smile. They believed we were extinct, but extinction is only for the weak. Humanity does not die. Humanity hides. Humanity endures. His second-in-command stepped forward. "The council has learned the truth. They know now it was all planned." "Good," Arik replied. "Let them choke on it." The truth spread like wildfire. Civilians whispered it on the streets. Soldiers muttered it in their barracks. Leaders trembled in their palaces. "Humans chose this," the whispers said. "They slept while we fought each other. They waited until we were weak. And, the worst truth of all, they are not just back, they are stronger than before." In one council-controlled world, riots broke out. Citizens stormed the archives, demanding to know what else had been hidden. Were the legends true? Did humans really fight 10 fleets at once? Did they really burn entire armadas with only a handful of ships? When the guards tried to silence the crowd, one voice rose above the chaos. "You fools!" We believed they were gone because it was easy, but they were never gone. They were waiting, and now Nothing can stop them. Back on the Erebus, Auric prepared his next move. He stood before his warriors, their armor gleaming under the lights, their eyes sharp and unbroken. For 3,000 years, he said, the galaxy celebrated our death. They danced on our graves, built empires on our ashes, and told their children we were monsters defeated. They believed in extinction, but humanity does not vanish. He raised his hand, and the fleet's star map flared to life. Dozens of red markers glowing across the galaxy. We marked their names. We marked their worlds. We marked their crimes. And now, one by one, we erase them. Not from memory, but from existence. The soldiers struck their fists against their chests, their voices echoing through the steel halls. For Earth, for the fallen. The Council tried to fight back. Massive fleets launched, carrying the pride of dozens of empires. But against the awakened humans, their ships shattered like glass. Every battle ended the same way. Alien fleets burning, humans standing unbroken. One alien admiral, watching his forces crumble, sent his final report before his ship exploded. "It is not war," he whispered. "It is judgment." The galaxy understood at last. Humanity had not been erased. Humanity had chosen silence. 3,000 years of waiting had not made them weaker. It had made them unstoppable. On the bridge of the Erebus, Captain Auric gave the final order. Tell every world, tell every empire. Humanity was never extinct. Humanity was patient. And now, humanity rules. The fleet roared forward, engines blazing like a storm across the stars. The truth was clear. Extinction had been a lie. Humanity had returned to settle the score. The score settled. The galaxy trembled, fleets had burned, colonies had fallen, and the truth was clear. Humanity had never been extinct. They had waited, prepared, and now returned with vengeance. Every world asked the same question. What do the humans want? The answer came soon. On every channel across every planet, a broadcast appeared. The screen flickered, then showed the scarred face of Captain Auric, standing tall aboard the flagship Erebus. Behind him, the shadow of the supercarrier Oblivion loomed like a second star. His voice was steady, cold, and final. You thought us erased. You thought us broken. But humanity does not break. Humanity does not vanish. Humanity returns. He paused, letting the silence cut through the galaxy. We did not come for talks. We did not come for mercy. We came for justice. For every colony burned, for every child lost, for every world betrayed. And now, the score must be settled. The message ended. No further words, only fear. The council met one last time. Delegates shouted over each other, desperation dripping from their voices. We cannot defeat them. We cannot surrender. We will lose everything. If we resist, we are destroyed. If we kneel, we live as slaves. For hours, the chamber raged. With panic, finally silence fell when the council leader spoke. We are not choosing survival. We are choosing memory, and history will remember us as cowards or as corpses. No one replied. The truth hung heavy in the air. While the council argued, the humans acted. The fleet descended on the council capital itself. Dozens of massive human warships dropped out of warp, their engines blazing like firestorms. The sky above the capital darkened as the Oblivion appeared, its shadow stretching across entire continents. Panic erupted below. Civilians fled into bunkers. Soldiers scrambled to defenses and alarms screamed through the air. From orbit, the human fleet surrounded the planet like wolves circling prey. Inside the council chamber, the delegates watched in horror as their skies filled with enemy ships. The council leader finally opened a direct channel. This is the Galactic Council. What do you demand? The reply came from Auric, his voice sharp as a blade. Submission. The chamber erupted in outrage. Never. We will not kneel to extinct savages, one delegate shouted. Arik's voice cut through them like thunder. Extinct? Look above your skies. Look into the fire. Humanity is not extinct. We are eternal. And eternity does not ask. It commands. Outside, the Oblivion charged its main cannon. A beam of light brighter than the sun flared into the void, aimed directly at the planet's outer defense ring. In one instant, the shields shattered. The capital was defenseless. The council had no choice. One by one, the delegates lowered their heads. The council leader's voice cracked as he spoke. We submit. Silence followed. For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy bowed, not to a coalition, not to an empire, but to humanity. On the bridge of the Erebus, Captain Arik stood before his soldiers. He gazed at the star map, no longer marked with red. Now the map was theirs. The score is settled, he said softly. The galaxy once chose to destroy us. Now they kneel before us. We are no longer prey. We are the storm. The soldiers struck their fists to their chests. Their voices echoed like thunder. For Earth, for humanity. Across the stars, messages of surrender flowed in. Empires bent their knees. Colonies raised the old human banner. The galaxy entered a new age, the age of humanity's rule. But for Captain Arik and his fleet, there was no joy, no celebration, only silence. They had not returned for glory. They had returned for justice, and justice was done. High above the galaxy, the Oblivion drifted like a dark sun, its shadow falling over countless worlds. It was not just a ship. It was a symbol, a reminder. For 3,000 years, the galaxy had believed humans were erased. Now every star knew the truth. Erased, not extinct. And from this day forward, every world lived under the same truth. Humanity had returned, and humanity ruled.